Hey guys, it's Keith Allen, and today we got a big one. Bitcoin and ETH both rolling back from gains as the great shakeout continues. So let's take a look and see some of the clues we had that let us know what was going on here. Really from the development of the short squeeze to what we're seeing now as prices retreating a little bit from the peaks we hit yesterday. And well, of course, we got to wonder where we're going to go from here. Is this the end of the run-up, or are we going to see potentially more? And I think you probably know the answer to that. Well, if you don't, we're going to try and give you some clarity on it, okay? So let's climb in. We're going to look at charts today for both Bitcoin and ETH, and we'll take a look at candle charts and liquidity on fire charts as well, and see what sense we can make of it. Okay, so let's start on fire charts right now, because that's what I happen to have open. So I'll make it easy. Let's go to this one and jump into the weekly chart, which kind of illustrates some of the bigger moves here. And I'll break this down on a shorter time frame here in a minute. But first, we saw this series of asks coming up and getting pulled. Right. So it was a big block of asks, got pulled, it got placed again, even bigger, got pulled, started pushing down. That made people think that, hey, I'm going to short from here. And it continued, right? More of these, spoofing really, or liquidity hurting, whatever you want to call it. This was really, I considered these to be more spoofs, because they kept moving up and down, up and down, up and down, and then eventually pulled as price went up. Right, they pulled from here and let price shoot up, and it did. And at that point, those who shorted here were trapped. They were getting squeezed up higher. Meanwhile, in my opinion, when we crossed this 70K range, really 69K is the important level for me, and I'll point to that here in a second on the candle chart. I think that kind of triggered a FOMO. The FOMO range. So more people aped in here at this point. And now, not only did they squeeze these shorts, but they lured in some late longs here, and a little bit of false hopium here with some support showing up, and an indication that they were going to push price up. So you saw this block here pushing price up again, and then boom, what happened? We saw these big these blocks of ask liquidity show up way out of range, top of of actually even beyond the all-time high, right? So this was really kind of a warning shot that, hey, resistance is going to be strong here. And then in the U.S. overnight hours, these blocks, actually chunks of them moved lower, and that's applying some pressure here. Simultaneously, we see support kind of disappearing. And that's a concern. And why is that a concern? That's a huge concern for a number of reasons, starting with the fact that we are now approaching this critical level, this 69K level. Let's expand that chart. 69K, it was the 2021 top. It held as the all-time high literally for years. Last night on the daily candle close, we got a new trend precognition signal, a long one, a strong one, I should say. And that was another indication that price was going to break down. The real level here that I'm watching is this 69K level, right? We spent so much time trying to get past this. Literally, it was years to even get back to this level. We wicked into it back in early March, and each of those attempts broke down with wicks below that were signs of weakness, that things were going to break down. We came back with another attempt, lost it, came back with a third attempt, lost it, and now we're trying a fourth attempt and are in jeopardy of losing it. What we want to see here, what bulls want to see here anyways, is a confirmed RS flip, a resistance support flip right here at this level at 69K, so that we can potentially start consolidating above this, go after the all-time high, and then boom, move into price discovery mode. That would be nice in a perfect world, but this world is far from perfect, and the market doesn't always give us what we want. In fact, it usually doesn't. So where could we potentially go from here? If 69K doesn't hold, what are the targets? Well, for me, I look at these technical targets, and we have a lot of drama in this zone between some of the key moving averages. The red is the 50-day moving average. We have the 21, the green 21-day moving average and the blue 100-day moving average. These have crisscrossed twice here in the past week or so, and now are unwinding and on a trajectory literally to unwind with the 50-day moving average. Those are inherently bullish signs of the market structure, but at the moment, we're seeing some weakness, right? And we're seeing some weakness both here in Trend Precognition's A2 plus signal. We see this A1 slope line indicating that momentum is fading, and we see the MACD even fading as well here. So those are signs that things could be breaking down. Will we go down as far as the 60K level? 58 to 60 is area of prior consolidation. Our local low, our lower low right now, and one that I was hoping we would see retested is down here at 56.5. So in terms of where the sentiment is, liquidity-based sentiment is for that, well, at the moment, the strength is at the 60K level. And what was above 55 in that 58 range has faded a bit. And so the strength is above 60K, which is good. But if we lose this 69K level, which right now has a bit of support, let's move into the daily chart and see if we can see any better. There's a little bit of support, but not a lot, as you can see, right? And here you can see more granularly the move of these were the blocks that were up here at the 75K and 76K levels, and they were split into a ladder that came down from 73.5 down to 71, 72-ish. And, right. So that applies more downward pressure. And then, of course, we saw this disappear. So pretty thin down here at this stage. Is this going to be enough to hold? Right now, we don't have any good buy volume. In fact, most of the market is selling here at this point. Mega whales did buy a little while ago, but it's the purple whales that I watch the most, as they have had historically the most influence over Bitcoin price action. Let's just slide this up a little bit and see if we can see anything developing down below. Again, we have bid liquidity mostly concentrated at 60K, but we do have a few other rungs of the ladder here, stepping up to that 63K level. Perhaps this is where we go. And of course, 65, also a decent target, but not very strong, right? Less than $7 million there, only 6.5 million in bid support at that level. So again, the most critical level for me is this 69K level. Does this hold, or do we break down? Now, even if we do break down, that does not mean that we will not get another attempt up here. I think that all the news on Bitcoin is inherently bullish in terms of the macro overview. Obviously, we have some ETF flow that has been very, very positive here for the past more than a week. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the last 7 trading days. Remember, these guys don't trade on weekends. So for the last 7 trading days, this has been net positive. BlackRock with a big purchase yesterday of nearly 300 million. And so, most of that concentrated actually to one player yesterday. That's interesting to note. In any case, we saw news today, maybe yesterday. I read it this morning about London introducing some, I think they're called ETPs on that market, but nonetheless, it's similar to an ETF product. And what's worth noting here is those are not the same as the retail products that we're seeing on the U.S. side. They are akin to an institutional product only. I saw some news. I think, let's see where I posted that. By the way, happy Bitcoin Pizza Day. Forgot about that. That was a historic moment with all the noise going on about ETH and Bitcoin and adoption and all the speculation, crazy speculation on ETH, by the way, on this ETH ETF being approved. It's been like, I've seen a range of numbers, literally from 30% to 90% speculating on its approval this week. So yeah, it's likely to get approved, is what it sounds like. But how can the range be that far, that deep and wide? It's just, it's ridiculous, to be honest with you. I think it's an eventuality. I really, earlier in the week, I thought it was going to be happening really a little bit later because of this new Fit 21 legislation we talked about earlier in the week. That is the legislation going to the U.S. House of Representatives to build a framework for regulation, for crypto regulation around splitting jurisdiction between the SEC and the CFTC. But now it looks like maybe the SEC is kind of fighting for jurisdiction over ETH and trying to fast track an approval here this week. But what did Eric Backelness out of Bloomberg posted something interesting about the Bitcoin ETPs, that they're only physically backed and only allowed retail. There's a retail ban still in effect on it, so it's not going to be the same in terms of the demand that we're seeing here on the retail side in the U.S. Nonetheless, it's still an inherently bullish bit of news. Also, news that the Trump campaign is accepting crypto, and that obviously sparks some interest and some discussion. How much the long-term impact of that is, I don't think it's going to be a very big deal. Obviously, all the candidates are now trying to find a position on Bitcoin, and of course, RFK and Trump have already gone all in, at least saying they are. So I'm not going to get into the political discussion. Let's go back to the charts here. Okay, so in terms of Bitcoin, at the moment, still holding the 69K level, and I just don't want to see wicks below this. And if we do, then that's a sign of weakness, that maybe we go back down to this range. This is 65K here, up at the 50-day moving average. We get down into the 63s as we get to these other moving averages, and of course, these areas of prior consolidation. I think, based on what I'm seeing at the moment in the order book, that it's likely that 60K will hold unless we see a rug pull. And that is certainly something we cannot rule out. But, we have a decent ladder between 60K and 65K. So maybe even 65 holds. We'll see. Those are the things I'm watching in terms of Bitcoin price. Now, ETH, obviously hot in the news here this week. And so let's go over to an ETH chart. And I probably have a really messy ETH chart, so I'm going to apologize for that in advance. But ETH obviously had some massive candles here this week. And this was literally on the news of the SEC requesting some revisions on ETH ETF applications, and that is happening, and it's happening very, very fast. So now speculation that they could approve this thing as early as this week, and so this did what? Well, first thing it did was spark nearly a 20% candle here on Monday, and then we had additional growth yesterday, and now we're seeing some of that pull back. So how far can it go? The fact that it shot through this, straight through the top of the golden pocket is a good deal. For those wondering where this is coming from, this comes from. Let me clear out these trend precognition signals and make it a little bit cleaner for us. This comes from literally the all-time high to the swing low. So this is a macro retrace on the Fibonacci chart. We did run into resistance previously up above 4K. That's right around the 0.786, and it's conceivable that we could do that again. Is it surprising that we ran into resistance where we did? No, not at all. We have some. Looks like right about here we had another candle up at that level, but I think that things are strong for ETH. Again, I'm not a specialist on ETH, so take this all with a grain of salt. But some folks asked to see an ETH chart, so here we are looking at one. I would say this. I think that the news of an ETH ETF obviously has macro bullish implications. But I do think that just that this pump that we're seeing at the moment, or that we saw earlier this week, was likely a short-term buy the rumor, sell the news event. We saw that happen with the Bitcoin ETF, but that was a completely different set of circumstances. The reason for the sell-off on the Bitcoin ETF was that Grayscale had so many long-term holders that were exiting with profits and exiting away from those exorbitant trading fees as soon as they can. This is a different situation. Nobody's here starting with a bag full of these assets that they have been locked out of selling for quite some time. So this is a completely different situation than the Bitcoin ETF in terms of what the initial reaction might be. But I do think that there will be demand. I think there's going to be a great deal of demand. And so, if you put it in terms of what happened on the Bitcoin side, right? That ETF was approved on January 10th. They started trading on the 11th, right? So let's take a look and see what that looks like and how things played out from there, right? Here's was the first day of trading. Price peaked at a 49K level, and then things got ugly. And things got ugly because Grayscale was literally just selling hundreds of millions every single day. I mean, it was massive. It was a mass exodus. And then the market found its footing and things progressed nicely. Even if you came in at the top of that, you'd be in fantastic shape right now with your holdings. So we could see some volatility right off the bat out of the ETH ETF. But I think that long term, the implications of it are macro bullish. So you trade that as you wish. Just know that at the moment it looks a bit toppy. Now let's look at ETH on fire charts and see if we can get any indication there. Oh, by the way, yes, we did not have yes or no, I don't know, whatever you're going to say. We didn't have an A2 plus signal on ETH yet yesterday, but we did have one from the A1 algo down here, and you can see the momentum is just gone. So this will find its footing. Where does it find its footing? Is it going to bounce, right here? Did it already find its bounce points here from the 3660 range? Or might we go lower? Might we go back and retest this 0.618 fib? That would be fantastic. And, in the next couple of days, this 100-day moving average would drag right up to that. So that's interesting. We could also then see these unwinding, and that puts us, shows us a trajectory for more upward momentum. So in terms of what it looks like in the order book at the moment, we've looked at Bitcoin. We have looked at this on a couple time frames. Now let's look at ETH and see what that's looking like on first the ETH USDT pair. And maybe we'll even take a look at ETH BTC. So this is pretty clear cut, right? Look how much resistance came in overhead and things started breaking down. I'm wondering what the ETH BTC chart looks like. I haven't actually even looked at it, but as you can see, the sell pressure is on here. A little bit of buying from this dip, but resistance overhead still. So I'm not sure that the market is done giving back some of the gains. I'm not expecting a full retrace out of that, by the way, but it's reasonable to expect a 20% plus move in less than 2 days to maybe give back a little bit before things move up again. So let's take a look real quick at ETH BTC and see if that shows us anything interesting or anything that contradicts what we're seeing on these other two charts. You look for confluence or contradiction, right? It looks like we have a bid block that just appeared here at the 5250 range on the ETH BTC pair. And still, it was a similar set of circumstances, right? Things got toppy, overhead resistance coming in, more stacking into closer to the range of 55, and then the breakdown. So similarly to what we saw on Bitcoin, some of this support left. At the moment, it looks like this block right here moved up from 50K range. So somebody trying to come in and maybe rescue it, or perhaps front run. Let's see how big is that. That's 41 BTC. That's a good size order, but not nearly what we're seeing in terms of volume up here, where it's a 111 BTC. So the volume's not huge here. It's decent, might be enough to hold. Going to have to watch and see. We do see some buying from the very bottom here, and that's of course on the ETH BTC pair. How does that translate? Well, to me, this is an interesting pair to trade, because if you have conviction about either of these coins or both of these coins, then you really can't lose. You might lose on a short-term position, but ultimately, they both should be going up in the long term. So let's go back to that ETH USDT pair for a second. All right, so we saw bid support moving up here on the ETH BTC pair, but we haven't seen it moving up here on the ETH USDT pair. And in terms of Bitcoin, we'll take one last look over there before we wrap it and see if we see any movement. So far, no. In terms of anything moving in to rescue Bitcoin from falling below the 69K level, it's really thin here, folks. We're talking less than 5 million here at the 69K level to hold things up. So that's what I'm watching. And if you want to watch, well, you might want to check out some of these products. In full disclosure, if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm a co-founder at Material Indicators, and this is Fire Charts 2.0. You can, if you're interested in learning more about it or Trend Precognition or any of our other tools, you can click the link in the description. For those of you waiting patiently for a written description or written analysis in the feed, I'm going to add that, but I really wanted to get this out to you before the day got away from us, because I see this as a pretty volatile opportunity here, potentially volatile opportunity, as things do risk breaking down further if we lose the 69K level. And yes, there is speculation that we will have two pieces of news that could send things back up. One, of course, an ETF approval, and the other being this FIT21 bill, which is scheduled for the House of Representatives this week. If it passes, it will set the framework for U.S.-based crypto regulation. However, it doesn't mean it's a done deal, nor does it mean it's perfect. What it means is it's setting up a framework. If it passes the House, it has to go to the Senate, and then it has to go to the president's desk to get signed off on. If he signs off on that, then he also throws his hat in the ring as accepting crypto. So we got that going for us. Also, one more bit of news. I saw an article today that there's also legislation trying to knock out any possibility of a U.S. Central CBDC. There you go. That was easy for me to say. So that would also be positive for the market. So watching the news and watching the liquidity, because the news is speculative until it happens. The liquidity doesn't lie. So I will be continuing to watch the order book and the order flow to see how things to see how things are piecing together as we trade through the day. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it and leave you with a funky beat. And guys, thanks again for all the support. Enjoy live streams. Please do me a favor. Smash all the buttons, share a comment. I engage with each and every one of them. I look forward to reading them, and I engage with all of you guys on those comments. So please keep those coming. They help me grow the channel. And I appreciate the support you guys are showing me. Let me check real quick for any questions before I wrap it. And then with that, I'm going to say, as always, trade safe and have a fantastic day, my friends.